Your title is what now, Robert?
Okay, I'm the head of business sustainability for Europe, Africa, Middle East. So a very big region with some very different problems and issues, but one big issue right now, which is around food security, which everybody is sort of thinking about and seeing in real time. And I suppose my job is to support farmers, grow high quality crops sustainably, and really to help provide the innovation and the framework for innovation to accelerate the pace and take up of new technologies in farming. And the other element is if you combine that with what's called no-till farming, which is you don't disturb the soil when you plant the crops the next time. You actually store carbon. You can store carbon in the soil, so it's not emitted into the atmosphere. And don't forget that agriculture is quite an important part of greenhouse gas emission globally. So anything that agriculture can do to control that or even reverse that is a very good sort of contributor to helping with climate change, but also, supporting health of soil and health of the natural environment generally.
Let me just check in with Anna. Anna, where did biopesticides fit into innovation?
Well, biopesticide, so they're using natural process, and they have specific characteristics. So they tend to be very selective, so they impact or they affect only specific target pests and all the closely related organisms. And this is in contrast to a broader chemical solution that tend to have a much broader chemical spectrum. Due to their nature, they really offer us the possibility to have solutions that are fitting very well in the integrated pest management program that we continue to bring to the market. They have a very low or lower exposure and residue comparing to chemicals, and they tend to have a very low impact in the environment.
Yeah, there's some confusion in the general public about the difference between biologicals and biopesticides. Giuseppe, do you want to start, and then Camilla, you can finish up?
Well, biologicals, it's a larger product category that include plant biostimulant, biofertilizer, and also biocontrol product. So this is, I would like to say, the main difference. And when we talk about the subcategory of product, for example, on plant biostimulant, we mainly address the management of the abiotic stress or nutrient use efficiency, while for biocontrol, it's of course very specific, and maybe Camilla can
so add. Camilla, I'm going to get you to.
What is very important that we always keep in mind that biodiversity friendly farming needs to be economically and socially viable for the farmer in the end.
I know what's coming up, so I love that there are going to be so many great ideas. We've got tools, we've got apps, we've got digital ways of enhancing biodiversity. So innovation and biodiversity, that connection there, tell us more about that. And then we're going to hear more about that too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, maybe first to say that this is not completely new. With our Good Growth Plan and tools such as Operation Pollinator, we have the longest standing industry track record of promoting biodiversity in agriculture. And we remain very committed to this. So we will continue enhancing biodiversity and soil health on 3 million hectares farmland every year. However, there is no room for complacency. We are accelerating our innovation to promote biodiversity in agriculture because our goal is to make biodiversity flourish on every farm. And we are really excited to see that biodiversity is gaining more and more attention, which we really highly appreciate. Still, the level of data and information we have on biodiversity in agriculture is insufficient. And comparing biodiversity to other fields, for example, climate change, climate change is much more advanced. And this is the field, this is the gap we need to fill. And this is where we are focusing our innovative power on.
I'd love some examples. Go ahead. I know you have them ready. Go ahead.
I have them. So we recently launched the CropWise Sustainability App, a digital tool which will allow farmers to assess the sustainability of the farm and get recommendations for improvement in areas such as crop production, water impact, soil health, and biodiversity. And I have also another one for you, another great initiative. Another great initiative is the Farmland. Yeah, it's coming. So another great initiative is the Farmland Biodiversity Challenge that we recently launched in France, and soon we are going to launch it in other European countries. With this challenge, we invite farmers to take photos of their farmland biodiversity and use the iNaturalist app to identify automatically any insects, plant, birds, or mammal species and share these biodiversity observations with the public. In this way, farmers will understand better their biodiversity and feel proud of their impact.
That is a little glimpse of the Biodiversity Sensor project. Kieran, is it ready? Is it out there yet? Tell us more.
First of all, this is a technological breakthrough, and this breakthrough is enabling automatic, reliable, autonomous, and at scale measurement of biodiversity, and essentially all species in motion. And we believe that this biodiversity sensor can positively influence measurement of all species across farmlands and also solve the data gap, as Basilis and Eva mentioned earlier today. And I will highlight this particular breakthrough. It was made possible through the research and development with our strong partners, Tumbling Dice, Indian Institute of Technology, Fraunhofer Institute, and TDWG. Prototype of the first version of the sensor, and later this year we are intending to roll it out in multiple farmlands to test the technology, validate the science, and enable data stream which will help in better decision making.
And let me start by saying genomes are not fixed entities. They are living, and they live in all living organisms, and they mutate, and they're dynamic, and they evolve over time, and that is the basis of evolution in plants, in people, in animals. And the key difference between GMOs, genetically modified organisms, and NGTs, which we're talking about today, is that NGTs use the plant's own DNA and biological processes without introducing any other genetic material from the outside. And that means that we then create a plant, or that it creates an end result that is identical to what you would see in nature, to what you'd see through conventional plant breeding, and what you can see naturally occurring throughout the whole entire globe.
When do you think we can launch the first NGT-derived crops in Europe? Who wants to start with that one? Charlie?
Well, maybe if I could take a stab first. I think the first NGT-derived crops in Europe will really depend on the regulatory review, which is ongoing at the moment, and how that regulatory system evolves. Essentially, if Europe decides to regulate NGTs as GMOs, I believe that it will kill the technology, because the barrier to bring those kinds of products to cultivation will be so significant. Within the last 5 years, we've seen the US, Argentina, Brazil, and most recently China publish a very science-based regulatory framework for a technology that is essentially the same as conventional plant breeding. We hope that Europe will do the same, and if that happens, then I think there will be a huge number of examples of this technology coming through breeding pipelines. So I would say in the 2025 to 2030 time horizon, we would see these products entering the market for cultivation in Europe.